Starting a YouTube channel is super hard.
Also, I think it's like a consistent posting thing also.
But you guys quite consistent every month, at least every month.
We
so.
do have like a hiatus
Once a few
after
weeks or 1 month.
like a season of
Right.
like every month. Then we have a hiatus. Then we
Actually, the gap this time was quite short.
Yeah.
We were backlogged on our editing and all that. So
Right.
so anyway, we didn't have a very long gap. I think it was only like 1-2 months.
yeah. Long.
But the
Yeah.
next gap
The next one will be longer.
Do filler
Because
content.
your episode will be we did filler content. Yeah,
filler
exactly. We did.
episode very funny.
Our
I keep
filler
laughing,
content is them.
Which one?
The one she go and scold
the
people.
Q&A.
Oh yeah, I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Actually, I love the shooting of that episode. I thought it was damn chill.
It was very chill. The one
I
we were
think
more
that was
relaxed,
like my
way more
least
relaxed.
stressful episode.
That was hilarious. I watched already, then I keep laughing.
The editing also.
Then you still go and like shout out Wei Chun. Then I go text him, hey, you cannot shout out on the podcast.
I'm very happy. I'm very happy.
That's how we even got you.
Just-
got them here anyway, right?
It's just plain thick skin and
Yeah.
shameless.
I know, right? Then she was like, oh yeah, I forgot to reply. Then he said, I go comment on the video. Then okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's very sad. But I mean, I guess they're very busy with clients or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Like our email is like least
Yeah.
priority, like marked as red,
Yeah.
whatever.
No, I mean to be fair, they are like they
Very
told me before,
busy,
like
right?
during certain periods they're like super busy. Because they will pia, then they will go and pia all the projects so they can go on like cycling holiday.
in the December.
Yeah, they went like some cycling tour in Taiwan or something I saw
I
recently.
saw Ray Ming posting
Yeah.
like on the work Salaryman, like how he budgeted like his cycling trip. Was it
Yes,
Australia
that-
or something?
Taiwan.
Oh, Taiwan.
Yeah, it's
It
sponsored
was
by
very cool.
sponsored by FW.
Oh, yeah,
That was
yeah,
like
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm happy for you.
Yeah, they have like insurance sponsored trips. I was like, whoa, that's great.
They're very clever.
Good for
I
them,
don't know if you spoke to
honestly.
them about like their business model. It's I was very impressed by their business model. Like
Mm.
nobody else seems to be doing that lor.
They also have that specific niche
Yeah,
of
it is,
like that kind of
finance,
finance content.
yes,
Then
yes.
like they have sponsors to
Yes.
come on to talk about it. But anyway, I think we've been going on for a while. Now is a good time to introduce like our special guest for today, Paul Hendricks from
Hello.
SGCC. Hello. Thank you for coming and joining us. And do you want to introduce yourself?
So I'm Paul from Comic Con. I do content and marketing, but then because it's a small team, so we basically like everybody do a bit of everything lor.
Everybody saikang.
Yeah, everybody a bit saikang lah. So like everybody has an opinion. So everything from like operations to sales or somehow everybody will be involved like in a little bit here and there. But officially I oversee content and marketing. Yeah.
Right. So you bring in all the guests.
Yes.
Like do you decide like who you want to bring in
Of course.
and all that? Oh,
that's like my favorite part of the job actually.
Right.
Very
so
important
like
job.
yeah, it becomes like who do I want to meet this year? Who have I never met before? Then it becomes like so there's like a list, and then I'm slowly making my way down the list.
Oh, dream job.
Wait, you have like a
Dream job,
ranking? Do you
man.
have like a ranking
Yeah,
or something?
yeah.
Oh
I
my
have like
God.
a- I
You're
have
like,
like a
this one's a
ranking.
priority
Yes.
guest, and then the rest are like,
Yeah. So it becomes like okay, this creators for me, then okay lah, this creators for the fans. So it becomes like you need to like yeah.
okay.
Otherwise it becomes a case of like everybody that comes is just people I like. Then a bit unfair lah. So,
Okay, so what's the percentage of like people you like vs people
Okay,
for the fans?
to be fair, I try to be objective a bit lah. So maybe I'll take like maybe about 20-30% is like people I really want to meet that year. And then the rest are like, okay, I need to like look at the bigger picture a bit. And then, okay, these are like, popular creators or creators that have never been here.
Right.
Kind of like spread it out a bit. Lah.
Right.
Otherwise, it'll be like super obscure, like horror artists
yeah,
that
yeah,
nobody
horror.
know one. So,
Yeah, you're quite into horror, right? Your Instagram,
Yeah.
you draw like a lot of like horror art and stuff.
I mean, I dabble.
Dabble?
Like,
Mhm.
not like a professional. I just like weird stuff lah. So, I just like drawing weird stuff. And then, not very good. But then, just try lor. Fun, right?
Why do you like drawing horror?
I don't know. I think I'm one of those like kids that watch horror movies when they were too young. Like my dad brought me to watch Predator when I was like 7 without telling me it was Predator.
When you were 7,
Yeah.
is it like rated?
No. And
Was
then,
it rated? Was it rated?
I don't think it is.
It's not.
actually.
at that
I
time, they were a
think,
bit lax.
yeah, in those days, I think these movies were like targeted at kids.
No
Like, they
way.
were- I mean, That's my feeling, right? Like we grew up like watching a lot
But
of very inappropriate
Yeah,
content.
that's true. I actually feel like the rating system in the past was definitely a bit more like chillax
So,
compared
in the
to
past,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
because it was one, it was
definitely.
an old theater, and
Mm.
two, in the past, I remember very distinctly. As long as there's an adult with you, the attendant will like whatever lah,
Mhm.
and
That's
they
true.
just
That's true.
let
Yeah,
you go
they
in
don't
low.
care.
So my dad brought me to watch Predator, and then I asked him what this movie is about because for those who know, the Predator poster doesn't actually show anything.
Yeah,
It's
Yes.
just Arnold Schwarzenegger in the jungle holding a gun.
Mhm.
So you get a case of like throughout the whole movie, I'm asking my dad like, "What's this about?" Then he like, "Oh, it's just a war movie."
It's just a
So,
war
and
movie.
so when it reached the point where the Predator takes out his mask, I'm pretty sure I like almost
Uh-huh.
wet myself in the theater.
No, no.
Oh
Yeah,
my god.
So you like horror, and then
a bit
okay,
too much.
A bit too much. Why do you say a bit too much?
I watch a lot of. I mean, I also don't know how to explain it, but there's
Mm.
just something about horror films or horror stories. There's a certain. I know this is gonna sound super douchey, but there's a
Why?
certain
Uh-huh.
like purity to it.
Oh, interesting. Why purity?
Like it's kind of like it's very simple. This thing is bad. It wants to kill you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a
Mhm.
very, as in for you, you like that it's very essential.
Yeah,
It's
almost.
like it kind of how to say it's very straightforward.
Mhm.
Yes.
It's not like oh like art housey.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I
Okay.
mean, don't
Oh.
get me wrong. I like kind of
Mhm.
like art housey films though, and
Okay.
more some art housey horror like Dario Argento or like
Mhm.
or even like
never
Ari
heard of.
Aster. Also, some people say like a bit arty, farty,
Right.
but
Mm.
yeah, it's almost there's a certain kind of like purity. I know I sound very douchey now, but
No, it's
No, I don't.
I've
think
heard the
it's
same thing
douche.
before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like the idea that like
it's
Yeah,
very
so
simple and pure.
there's like the
Yeah.
essence of it is just so like, is it like primal in a way,
yeah,
or like
almost
that kind of thing?
Yeah.
I think it's also
Oh.
just the fact that there's a certain you get a reaction from the audience that is very real.
Yeah,
like
it's very
horror,
visceral and
like horror and comedy both have that.
The
These are
emotional
real,
engagement.
correct.
almost something like that.
Like you can actually create real emotions in a person.
Yeah,
so like that's
sure.
something that's both very high level but very simple also.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
like you can't replicate the feeling of seeing something like super weird or scary, and then it just sticks with you, and then that's it. You know,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah,
it's a very
correct.
simple
Oh,
kind of thing. Okay, yeah. For those younger audience, you all don't know what I'm talking about. Last time there's a lot of these videotape shops. I'm sure
Yes.
some of you might
Video
see.
easy.
So on the way back from school, I would pop into the videotape shop just to like kill time. And the video covers, I would spend like hours sometimes just staring at the videotapes or the covers.
Uh-huh.
And the most interesting ones are always the horror ones.
Yes.
I mean, it's not even sometimes it's not even reflective of like what's the actual video because the video might be like a crappy B grade horror movie.
Yeah.
But the covers were so impactful and it kind of like when you're young, you get exposed to this kind of thing, then it kind of sticks to you.
It really
Yeah,
does,
right.
yeah. Like the interest, the things that you like when you're young really
Yeah.
influences you, like in the past.
Yeah.
Do you read like horror comics now or
Horror
anything
comics, yes. So James Tynion does a lot of horror comics these days, which I think is very good. I really like Japanese
James?
horror. James Tynion.
Like that? Tinian? Oh.
He does. Most people know him for like something he's killing children, but I think his more horror stuff I find like a lot more fascinating. Lah.
Right.
I like Japanese horror as well, manga.
The
Junji Ito.
Junji
is it?
Ito's like okay. Sorry. Okay. I'm gonna say something.
okay, yeah, please.
Wait, why?
You should share your recommendations.
Yes.
'Cause a lot of people start there, right? And then
Yeah.
they stop, you know. Like,
So I think Junji Ito is one of those that like it's great, but I think it lacks. It's not weird enough for me for level.
not weird enough for
enough.
you.
So there's this other.
What? How
Okay,
weird you want?
I think to be
So
fair.
what is weird? Like
Okay,
how,
to be fair, right? Junji Ito, I got exposed to Junji Ito after I read this other manga called. The English translation is what? Left hand God, right hand devil. So it's that manga is super messed up. I forgot the creator's name. You all can insert it somewhere later or something.
Okay. Left hand God, right hand devil. Okay.
So I read that first, and then after that, when I read Junji Ito was kind of like Mao. It depends what you're exposed to first. Then, there's like a sliding scale, or I always feel when it comes to like anything. So an example would say music. Like if you're exposed to like heavier music, then anything below that, anything like, oh, that's very not for me kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's like your palette lah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
your horror palette is like, I mean, for you, what appeals to you? Like, is it like gore or like weird stuff or like psychological things?
I think
or
everything
ghosts?
lah.
Everything.
It depends. Okay, well, I noticed that when I was younger, I liked the gory stuff. Then after that, it became like now I like more like the horror where the horror almost doesn't care about you. It's almost like
Mm.
some people call it cosmic horror, but I hate that term.
Mm.
But it's almost like it's just there and you are nothing to it. And then
Mm.
it gives you this feeling that human beings are meaningless or you're nothing.
Mm.
So I like weird stuff sometimes also lah. So it really depends. Actually, I like it all.
Yeah,
And
can you recommend some for people who are like, you know, so
Yeah.
for people who like, yeah, Junji Ito, mad. Then what like this?
Like
the-
how
this
if they want to
genre-
progress from Junji Ito
Yeah.
or like read other like
So-
more horror stuff.
sorry? Yeah.
Oh, Tomoe. Mm.
Or Left Hand God, Right Hand Devil. I think it's the other one that's super accessible. Or if you some of the Japanese horror is like it crosses over into hentai, so I won't like recommend that. That's a bit like,
Oh,
come on, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, some people like it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
I don't judge, so it's
Yeah.
like to each
Oh,
his
it's
own.
like the kind of like creepy
Yeah.
kind of like
It's almost like being offensive for the sake of being offensive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's like riding
okay.
roller coasters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's
like
not for
riding a roller coaster.
everyone.
Yeah.
But those who like it really, really like
yeah.
it. Yeah.
So this is just one of those things that I like a lot of strange things on that sometimes. So.
But you said previously that you bring like when you were bringing in guests
Yes.
for SGCC, right? So like who was someone that you remember bringing that you're like, oh, super starstruck by, or like you really wanted to
Jock.
bring on?
In 2019, this artist Jock, he came to Singapore Comic Con, and then that one I was really like losing my mind. I was like trying very hard to like be professional when I met him.
Yeah.
So it became like a it's Jock kind of thing for
Ooh,
me.
what kind of work
yeah,
does he do?
yeah.
So
Tell us
Jock,
about him.
he most people know him for like drawing Batman.
Yeah.
But then he also does a lot of stuff like The Losers, and he also does concept art. Yeah, he did the concept art for like Ex Machina, Alex
Oh,
Garland's
wow.
film.
Yeah,
and he
yeah.
also worked on
Ex
like
Machina is so
yeah,
good.
he worked on like Star Wars as well.
Mhm.
And yeah, he's a UK artist. And yeah, I'm like a huge fan of his. So when I met him, I was really like, but I think the one that I really got starstruck was Andy Kubert, who came in 2019. So
Yeah,
I grew
yeah.
up reading Andy Kubert's comics.
Right.
So the whole time he was here, I was like, I gotta try and be professional sometimes lah.
Yeah,
So
you gotta be like cool.
Yeah.
I'm like a content organizer.
Exactly.
I'm not just a fan.
yeah, exactly. I can't be like a super fanboy. But
Yeah.
just before he left, then I was like, I need to tell him. So I told him like, hey, I grew up reading your comics, blah 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 blah.
Mm.
And then he was like super nice. He was like,
Aw.
I can't remember how the conversation went. Like it's a bit of a blur, but he was like super nice. And then he gave me a piece of like artwork, and then I swear I almost cried on the spot.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah.
He
my
gave you
God.
something
he
like
gave
out
me-
of his.
And then he even like
Oh.
signed it like to Paul and stuff like that. So I was like
Yeah.
super touched.
You frame it up. You
Yeah,
frame it
yeah,
up on
yeah.
your wall right
Framed
now.
up in my house.
Oh.
Yeah. So that one I think was the one where it was almost like unexpected starstruck in a way.
Mm.
So this is what I mean. I mean, for me, it's like I want to try and replicate that kind of experience for
For
fans
people,
who go
right,
to the
who come
show,
in.
because I think that experience is it's intangible, and it's very rare for people in Singapore and the region to get that kind of experience, unless
Yeah.
you're like willing to travel to the States and like,
Yeah,
stuff like that.
exactly. I feel like they also get to see these creators a lot more often. The fact that we only kind of get this chance to
Yeah.
see these creators maybe once a year, because that's when like
Yeah,
SGCC brings in like the big guys, right? And then we kind of cherish the moments. I wonder
exactly.
if it's very
Yeah.
helpful for you guys also to bring more people in that way.
Yeah, so it's one of those things I want to try and replicate in a way, which is to almost make like Singapore Comic Con like the place where you get to meet creators, be it like Western comic creators or Southeast Asian creators or like Eastern creators from like Japan or whatnot. But it's trying to give fans that experience they can't really get anywhere
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
I think it's again lah, me being idealistic lah. It's almost like a way to differentiate Comic Con from like other
Yeah.
The
conventions.
smaller
Yeah,
conventions.
you mean like the other local, like
Yeah.
AFA?
So
kind
like
of thing?
AFA does a fantastic job.
Of course.
Don't get me wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just that what's the
You got to do different things.
yeah
lah.
exactly
Yeah,
what's your
totally
USP
different.
law
Yeah.
basically. So I think there's an audience for people who want to meet creators, and then let's try and do that law. I mean, it's very expensive lah, but it is what it is. And I think it's something YOLO, like I say, it's very hard for fans in the region to get the experience. So just give it to them lah.
I mean, it's worth it, right?
Yeah.
I think over the years, because I mean, Comic Con has that branding, you know, and
Yeah.
people pay money to come to
Right.
Comic Con
Mhm.
because they know that these creators are going to be
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And that it's always like A-star lists, you know, like people.
It's
We
getting
try
bigger and
lah.
bigger also.
We try.
Mm.
But then we'll always get people who complain like,
Oh,
yeah
why
lah,
don't have
it's
this
true,
one?
it's
Why don't
true.
have that
Ah,
one?
Yeah,
really?
I mean,
Oh.
so I'm just wondering, is there any feedback channel where people can tell you like, hey, like, you know, I really want XX people to come, like they are like, you know, they're the most popular artists in my school or whatever.
So I think the easiest way is like, you know, you can always email us and then we actually do go through all like the emails and then like see who people are interested in. And then of course like people who know me, they'll always like message like, hey, I want to see this person next year.
Yeah, message Paul.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
like they got
thinking
a
of that
private,
myself.
They have
I'm
a
like,
private channel to you directly, and then they'll be
Yeah,
like,
so for those of you who
know
like,
you.
you know, keep spamming me, you know who you are, stop it, okay? No, I'm joking. But
do you want to ask the comments to leave comments asking who they want to see
Yeah,
at the next
like-
SGCC?
Yeah, yeah,
If you
I
can
think-
do that, you know,
yeah,
guys, if
that's
you're
a-
watching this.
Paul can filter after that.
Yes.
yeah. But I think more
This
viewer
is your-
suggestions is good.
Your chance to have a direct connection to Paul right now, who's gonna be looking at these comments, and then he's gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna bring in this guy. I remember like when SGCC used to be like SG, like
STGCC.
STGCC.
Yeah.
So were you also already there at that point, or like did you come on after?
No,
his,
I
like,
came on
SGCC?
I joined at the end of 2018, just before the 2018 show. So when I came in like 2 weeks before the 2018 show. So basically I came in and then,
It was like a just throw in the deep end kind of thing.
And then it's like, oh, at that point it's really like executing. So
Right.
2019 was the one where I was more involved with the curation of the content and everything. And so if you hated 2019 until now, then yeah, it's my fault. Anything before that, not my fault.
Yeah. Well, do people say to you like, hey, you know, like, you know, it used to be better or like it used to be different? I mean, did you change a lot of things when you came
I
on?
think one thing that I think one of the main things we changed, two lah, I would say. One is like, if you all remember last time at STGCC, they used to have this DJ night thing where they would have like the Japanese musical performances.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
like,
There was like a band, and then there were like girls, that would dress up in cosplay.
That was one of the things. That was one of the things we dropped because it became a case of like it felt a bit odd. And
Yeah, it was very, very loud, very
that too.
noisy.
I think that's the other thing because most people are like, oh, it's super loud, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And also AFA does it, and AFA
Yeah.
does it really well. So it's like, why do the same thing? You know what I mean? I'm a strong believer of like, if everybody's doing A, then try and do B lah.
Yeah.
So that's one, and then the second one is that we always try to do new things now. So examples would be like 2019 we had the wrestling. We had
yes,
wrestling.
I remember
there was
that.
a
Yeah, it was like
wrestling
the
thing.
big rings actually like very happening.
Yeah, so
remember.
I personally I like wrestling. So
Yeah.
you know, and it was a thing that me and Pekyong, shout out Pekyong if you're watching this, had to fight really hard for.
So Baekhyun is
Pekyong
He used to be on the team.
Yeah, he used to be on
Be
the
on the
team
team.
back when it was still under re-exhibition.
So
So wrestling became one of those things where everybody's like, what's wrestling got to do with like comics?
Yeah.
And my argument is always, it's the same. Everybody's wearing tights and punching each other. Same, right? So
It's pop culture.
they are like
I don't know,
a
man.
little bit close to the
So-
superheroes that we watch. That
Exactly.
kind of like thing. They also have to like there's a lot of like drama
Yes,
to wrestling.
exactly. It's
Also
all
from
about
what I heard,
yes.
like they put on a character
Exactly.
right that they play.
So it's all
Yeah.
about story law. So it became a case of like, okay, we'll just try it. And then we managed to get it through. And then it became super popular on,
Yeah.
on the other show. But all these like
Nice.
kids and their parents were like crowding around
The
watching it.
wrestling, yeah.
Yeah, so I always like try new stuff. And then I always say like, worst case scenario, if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work lor. We tried that. Then we tried things like doing more things for like local creators. We also trying things now with like video content creators from YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
Zermatt having the food challenge thing.
The food,
Yeah.
what was it? Beef noodle.
Yeah, he ate the beef
competition.
exactly. So that was another case of like when it was first announced, then it became a case of like people are like, oh, what's this got to do with like comics? But then on the day itself, the Zermatt thing drew such a huge crowd.
Yeah.
And I'm a strong believer of like nobody's just interested in one thing lah.
Yeah.
So the idea is
Exactly.
like you might go to Comic Con for like one thing, then I'll try to sell you something else. Yeah.
Also, Comic Con is less just about comics, more about
Exactly.
pop culture
Yeah,
in general,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And like, there's so much that is like a part of pop culture. It's not just comics. There's like TV, film, video content, and especially now, like we don't
Games.
just watch film and media, like
Exactly.
film and movies and
Yeah.
shows. There's like YouTube is part of pop culture.
Exactly.
So it's totally understandable, like why you branch out to like YouTube content also, right?
Because we want to try and branch out, and then in a way, the key thing is to grow the audience. I mean, at the end of the day, because I think I'm at that age where I realized that if you don't try to grow the audience for whatever fandom or whatever you're interested in, it'll end up becoming like a bunch of uncles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
Yeah. I know
yeah.
which uncles. Yeah.
So it's like, if you're not growing the audience, then what are you doing? You're just gatekeeping and being elitist. Don't get me wrong, I used to be like super elitist.
Yeah.
But
oh, really? Like, when do you realize that you were like, I need to stop being?
I think it's an age thing lah. Once you reach a certain age, then you kind of see the bigger picture. Last time, I was play game, then we'll go and scope you. So,
right.
but for me, it's like, when I see kids enjoying themselves at Comic Con, I think that's the biggest kind of like, thumbs up to me.
Yeah, the next generation,
Exactly.
right? Like you got to start them young.
Yes.
And you got to make sure that they enjoy themselves all the way,
Correct.
right? Like the teenagers and the young people. 'Cause
Exactly.
honestly, the uncles or like those of us who go to Comic Con every year, we're done already. Like you don't need to worry about us. We'll come every year.
Yeah.
But it's the kids that you need to really like
You're catching
convince
them.
every year. You know, make them feel like this is something they need to do all the time.
Yeah. So, I mean, don't get me wrong lah. No offense to all the uncles and the collectors and stuff like that. They are super important, and we'll always cater stuff for them. But at the same time, why can't we do both?
Yeah, you got to do both.
Yeah.
I think for us also, like we like seeing new audiences.
Exactly.
Because if you have the same people every year, then they're like, oh yeah, you know, we've seen all your stuff before,
Yeah.
like snooze. Then, but then if you have a new audience or like people bring kids or like bring their friends, that's
Exactly.
for us like that's very important.
Yeah,
Also. I
and
mean, as an exhibitor, like,
Exactly. Because these days, like, pop culture is very mainstream, let's be honest. I mean, the example I always use is like, these days you can walk on the street, you can see like a family of 4, they're all wearing Marvel t-shirts, but none of them have ever read a comic in their life, let's be honest. They'll wear, like,
all the films, right? All the movies,
they'll have
right?
like watch the films, watch Disney Plus,
Yeah.
whatnot. So it's super mainstream right now.
Yeah.
So you should
Being
be
a nerd is mainstream.
Yeah, exactly. Suddenly it's like cool to be a nerd these days. So it's
Yeah.
like, as a nerd from the past, it becomes like, hey, wait a minute.
The victim, is it like
Yeah.
that? Like, I know like now, like people nowadays, like sometimes they say like a lot of, like there's this section of like people that bring on like a victim mindset to the nerdery idea.
right.
Oh,
Okay,
is it?
I don't know if I'll get hate for this.
Nerdness.
Like
think I know
because
what you mean.
there's in the past, I think like nerds used to be definitely
Yep.
more like a kind of like a sideline, like
Yes.
like a subculture
Yeah.
that gets like derided against.
This
So
was
then-
interesting to
so,
for
so
sure.
there's like a certain like kind of that there are amount of
Negative
people that
connotation.
will still hold on to
Yeah.
the idea that we are still hated and we are still being sidelined and you are discriminating against
Yeah.
us. But when actually it's not really the case anymore.
Kind of, I think so. But I think it's also because everybody likes to hold what they like
Yes,
close to their heart.
Yeah,
And then
for sure.
they are a bit like, let's be honest, like everybody gatekeeps a little bit. So,
yeah, protectiveness.
yeah, exactly. It's like protective, I guess, is a better
So
word.
I came here first.
Yeah, exactly. It's the I came here first kind
Yeah.
of mentality.
Yeah.
And when suddenly something that you've grown up with for like, say, 20 years, and you used to get a lot of hate for
Yeah.
liking, and then now suddenly everybody likes it. It becomes a case of like, hey, wait a minute, I was here first.
Mm.
Then I had to suffer so long. Then now it's
Yeah.
okay to like D&D or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the D&D.
Yeah, like D&D is another
very
great
mainstream
example.
now.
It's super mainstream.
Yeah.
And then I remember like playing D&D in the school bus when I was in primary school.
Oh, in the school bus?
Yeah.
How are you playing in the school bus?
Because there was this guy in primary
It's a very long
school
school bus, right?
I mean, it wasn't. That's the thing. It was like he used to do like 15-minute kind of like short adventure. I mean, the whole point was to like roll dice and like beat things. It became like, it wasn't really like a full-on campaign kind of thing.
So you just kill some monsters. on
Yeah,
the bus
exactly. And it was
kind of
like,
thing.
wow, very fun. Like to a primary school kid, it's like, wow, mind-blowing. The dice
Ooh.
very cool, you know, that kind of thing.
Right.
So these days are like super mainstream. So I can understand like, wow, last time people used to be like, well, what's this nonsense? And then now it's like, oh, D&D is cool. But at the same time, again, back to what I was saying, is like if you want to grow the audience, then you have to tap onto how it's mainstream now and then try to grow the audience.
Yeah.
That's why
exactly.
another thing at Comic Con we always try to do is that if people have noticed, the tabletop segment has like grown.
Yeah, very happy
Yeah,
about that. I'm a
yeah.
tabletop fan.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah, I
it-
came downstairs. Like there are 2 floors this year.
Yeah.
I'm last year, and then when I came downstairs and it's just like so much tabletop
Exactly.
stuff. Very very nice.
And so it's very nice when I hear from the tabletop exhibitors, then they say like, oh, there's like a lot of new interests, which I'm like, it's great lah. You get like more people playing it instead of like playing with your uncle friends all the time. No, you know what I mean? I think it's nice to see lah the hobby grow lah.
Yeah.
Like being part of, they're like helping to be a part of building that community and
Yeah.
making the connections for other people
Yeah.
who don't necessarily can connect to these exhibitors.
Exactly.
I think like, for example, the tabletop one, I wasn't as aware about like who Table Minis was.
Right.
And a lot of they were like dice makers.
Yep.
I think
Yeah,
I
there's a
showed
lot.
like some of them in our like SGCC
Oh, yeah.
walkthrough video because I'm like a
walking
fan.
tour.
Yeah, so you guys can check out our walking tour video for like a bit of what we were talking about. But I remember being like getting to know these
Yep.
exhibitors was so important because then
Yeah.
I'm like, we have local makers,
Yes.
we have local like DMs, we have local
What's
like
a DM?
creators for
Dungeon Master.
yes, like
Yes,
a DM,
yes.
Dungeon Master. We have local creators
Yeah.
who are part of this community that is much bigger than you think that it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think like that's one thing is like for tabletop, and then that's also like what you've been doing, I think, for like comics also.
I try
then-
lah.
Oh,
Mm.
but like you did that with like, is that something you're trying to do with like WIP program? or
Yeah, I
something like
mean,
that?
I think the WIP program is like, okay, again, hi Pekeong. Pekeong used to make this joke that I came out of the WIP program is because I wish that WIP program existed when I was younger.
But
Oh,
that's just what happens though.
yeah,
like
that
when you
makes
get the
sense to
chance.
me.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, the whole idea is like, I use myself and like some of my classmates from the past as examples lah. So we went to art school, we like illustration, we like comics. But when you graduate, then you realize like, oh, what do you do now? There's no like opportunities.
Yeah.
And the WIP program is kind of opportunity. It's basically opportunities for
Yeah.
younger creators, and just give them a platform, lor. So
Yeah.
we try and put them in touch with like publishers so they can get like very useful feedback. We try and like find ways to mentor some of these creators. And it becomes like don't say never give you a chance, lor. Here's an opportunity.
yeah.
What you make of it is really up to you, lah.
I think it's super important lah. Cause like younger creators, the difficulty is like building portfolio.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And like something very established like Comic Con, giving them an opportunity actually is really a good stepping stone for them. Like where else are they go get these opportunities, right?
Yeah, I think it's like if you reach a certain point, if you're not sort of like, I always use this phrase, high tide raises all ships. And if you're not high tide raises all ships.
Yeah.
So if you're
correct.
not like sort of like putting the ladder down to give like the next generation opportunities, then what are you doing? You're just being kind of an elitist, like gatekeeper. So we want to use the WIP program as like a stepping stone, and then we'll always like feature it. It'll always be part of Comic Con as long as I'm there. I mean,
Yeah.
I might quit tomorrow, I don't
Okay.
know.
Yeah, WIP program.
Yeah,
Shout
WIP
out.
program. Yeah, shout out to like for supporting us as well.
Oh, for sure.
With the podcast and everything. I think one thing I thought was really cool that happened during SGCC was basically, you know how like we were very lucky that we had that big like space for COMIXSG to display our stuff, right? And then I was downstairs like so for the walkthrough, I went downstairs to talk to people, and then I went to talk to one of the guys that were at Table Minis, and then I was like, oh, I'm from COMIXSG, and then I was like, yeah, I know, and I was like, you know COMIXSG, and I was like, yeah, you guys are like right in the center of like SGCC, and I was like, oh wait, shit, we're right. Oh, whoops. I mean, we are. And then it's like, this is what I feel like the kind of platforming and just like helping to uplift like other creators, and I think it's really such like we're grateful for the chance that we got.
Oh no.
And
And
then
no
also,
need to say thank you on this kind of thing.
hey, gotta say thank you lah. I mean, like it's good that we are all also like connecting. Yeah,
I think we cannot take it for granted. You know? 'Cause,
exactly.
I mean, even though people like say in other countries, maybe they have more of such things for very very long already. So to them, this is like whatever. But in Singapore, if you know, like Singapore Comic Con is doing WIP, you know, we started COMIXSG to like give creators a platform, right? It's like we cannot pretend that it'll just be there if we don't really like focus and appreciate everybody that's working on it. Okay,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I feel that way. I also feel that way about you. Like, you know, if you're gone, right, I'll be like, oh my god, like cannot. So yeah, we really
I
appreciate
mean,
it.
I'm
yeah.
a very strong believer of like, okay, this is a stupid analogy I always use. I always believe that it's better to form Voltron than try to go and fight yourself. So
Yeah,
or
for
like
sure.
for people who don't know who Voltron is, it's like if Power Rangers, you should just form Megazord, then go and fight the bad guy. You always win when you form Megazord.
What if people don't know Power Rangers is?
Well, then I cannot help them, man. How do you not know what Power Rangers? Google it. Okay.
The young people these days.
I felt like, I started WIP program as like a very small thing because if you all remember, it started as like just a simple comics.
Yeah,
submission
this is an
thing.
online event, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we wanted to like, okay, how do we sort of like grow what we're doing? And then I'm like, okay, we should try and do something for the community. So it's like if it's a scale lah, so if WIP is in the middle, then you want to do something for the community, and then you want to do something that's after the WIP program. So it becomes like a circular thing.
Yeah, there's a journey lah.
Yeah,
there's a funnel
journey,
for
there's
people.
a story for
Yeah.
everybody to like go through lah. So when you guys were like doing the podcast, so I was thinking like, hey, maybe I should do like a comics podcast. Then I was like, hey, you guys do a podcast.
Yay.
So it's
Same
like why
ideas.
bother to go and do my own podcast? Just like collaborate with people lah.
Timely.
Yeah.
Can be a special guest, come in sometimes, join us in the conversation.
You can be a guest producer.
Yeah lor,
right?
yeah lor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it became like you guys had like the Discord server as well. Then me and my team, we decided like, yeah, let's just partner with people and then we can try to build something bigger here instead of like everybody just doing their own small thing. And I mean, I don't mean to be harsh to like other people in Singapore who are doing small things, but it's like, guys, just collaborate lah. Collaborate with other people and do something bigger.
Yeah, I think it's really good when we can all collaborate.
Yeah.
I think it's true. Like there are a lot of small like kind of like organizations doing different things, but basically like if we can all come together and form that critical mass, it'll be even better.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah lah. I don't know. I think Comic Con is actually very important in that sense because it's kind of like
The critical mass.
As in,
kind
it's
of thing.
big and it has a critical mass of like audience. So like for all of us to like partner with Comic Con, I mean, you guys do this, right? Like say the collectors have a thing with you guys every year. We have a thing with you guys every year. So in a way, we've kind of used Comic Con as like our how to say like the umbrella lah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because I think community, this is going to sound very like idealistic again lah, but community is a very big part of it. So it's like I'm of the opinion like everybody should come together to do something really big once a year instead of like, just doing your own thing. I mean, let's be honest, like Singapore's very small lah.
Yeah.
So
Right,
it's like
yeah.
instead of everybody just fighting over a small pie, like why don't you just make another dessert?
And then it shows that we are here. We become more visible when we're all together.
Exactly.
And then it becomes like, there is so much more that we can do with this particular space when there's so much people. It's like, I think that's why you're saying like comics, we should also start doing more things together. And it shows like it's starting to grow bigger.
Exactly.
There's like and then people will pay more attention to it naturally also when we all kind of work together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like if everybody comes together at like one place, and then I think what the value that Comic Con brings is that we can bring I'm not trying to like show off anything. We bring a certain amount of like mainstream eyeballs to the product lah for the lab word. And then if you have something impressive at Comic Con and then these mainstream audience or like overseas fans, they see it, then it sort of like builds on each other in a way. And also because we have certain relationships with like, brands or overseas publishers, and then we can sort of like use it like, hey, this is what Singapore's doing. It's not too bad lah. I know we are still in our infancy, but there's promise there. Maybe it can develop it.
Like,
and that's always been the idea of like the WIP program is basically to use it as like, hey, this is what like Singaporean and like regional creators can do. Any publishers interested to like, pick them up. It's not like a make money kind of thing lah.
Oh, definitely not,
what I mean?
man. Yeah. I don't think, I mean, when we do these things, it's like we're trying to build a pyramid, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then one day someone will be at the top, and then, we'll be happy that we had the rest of the foundation there. But then until that day happens, we don't really know. Like, we're just trying our best.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
we
but
have,
it's not an MLM.
But I gotta say, we do have very successful artists.
Yes,
in
without
Singapore,
doubt.
like Zoo.
yes,
Zoo, Arjum, like Sunny. Like, I mean, these are very, very successful artists. But what we're hoping is just that there can be more lah.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, say like, instead of like 10, you're 20.
Yes.
Or like, instead of 20, you have like 40. That'd be awesome, right? And it's not a big dream, I really think it's something we can
I
achieve.
think it's definitely possible. It's like again, it comes back to the high-tech relationships.
Yeah.
And I'm always very impressed by what Art Germ does. Hi Stanley.
Yeah.
He's already sort of like made it, for lack of a better word. And then he
Yeah.
mentors these other creators under him. Like, and then he sort of like brings everybody along with him. So people under his table like Derek Chu or like EG, they all kind of like he sort of mentors them and then he brings them along.
Yeah.
And it's all about like the big fish bringing along like the small fish. And then it just everybody succeeds together. Lor. So like even like last year, yeah, when he went to Comic-Con, so he was there and then so was all his like art gang.
Yes,
And
I remember they
his
were like
gang.
around him.
Yeah.
You kind of like you put them and arrange them all
Exactly.
together. I thought it was quite cool.
And some of them like they're not as well known, but then because they are at Comic-Con, then it sort of like exposes them to like more people, which hopefully like, you know, they can become like the next level or
Yeah, exactly. That's amazing.
it's kind of like the idealistic idea of like the WIP program lah.
Yeah, next time maybe you can put the WIP near to Art Germ store, so then they're just
Bring
so
their eyeballs.
Yeah, exactly. Like
The floor plan is
the queue, as in the queue at his store was just like whoa,
Yeah,
like there was a
he's-
line going around to the other side of the
Exactly.
building.
The floor plan, that one is a whole other can of worms.
Oh.
Every year we are like,
Really, yeah.
where do we put this? Where do
Where
we
to
put
put
that?
Why do you all decide this year to put where we were like there at that big space, like where the WIP program was?
So that became like there's a certain logic to the madness. Lah. So the WIP gallery was going to be in the middle for sure. So we wanted
Yes.
things that kind of, the things that are associated with the WIP program
Yeah.
to be close by.
Mhm.
That's why you guys were close by and then the art schools were close by.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. I was wondering how, like this year, usually we are like we sometimes are closer to the creators.
Yes.
This year we were a bit further
Yeah.
away from like the usual artist
Yep.
alley. So I think that's the reason why.
That's kind of like the thinking. So there is a certain like logic to our madness law. It is the same reason why we put the invited guests beside the artist alley. Because in a way we kind of want like, hey, they're all artists, right?
all together.
Yeah.
and then it gets more eyeballs. So that's kind of like the thinking. But then there's always pros and cons to
Yeah.
the floor plan every year. Somebody will complain one. Every
Yeah,
year
for
also somebody
sure.
will complain. So
I can't
of
imagine
course.
there not being complaints.
yeah.
Yeah.
When you reach out to so many people, it's impossible to get you to create something that everybody likes.
Yeah,
on, so
I think as long as you have a
happens.
high enough hit rate, then okay lah, it's not too bad, I guess.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit more about behind the scenes at Comic-Con? I'm just so like for us, right? You know, a lot of us go there and then we're like, wow, you know, everything looks good, like well organized event. But can you tell us like what are some of the crazy things that's happened?
yeah.
Okay,
Like,
not
what's
not necessarily this year, like just over
What's
the
like
years.
a craziest incident for you? that you
Craziest
remember?
easy. I guess it depends on like, okay, like me personally, okay, when it comes to like the guests lah. So last year there was one creator that he landed in Singapore and he didn't get a certain vaccination. And then when he landed in Singapore, he immediately got thrown into quarantine.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
COVID.
wait,
No, it wasn't COVID. It
Oh,
was
okay.
some other vaccine. I can't remember what it was. And it became like the guy called me and like, yeah, I just got taken away into quarantine. Then I'm like, what?
Oh my
Yeah.
god! Wait, so what happened? Did he come out? Like, did you have to
Yes.
go like
So
bust
he,
him out of the hotel?
he ended up in quarantine, but he managed to get out on like, he managed to attend last year's show on Sunday.
Okay, the
But-
last day.
Yeah.
so he missed one day. lah.
Yes. So
Oh.
it's better than nothing, but at the same time, it's like, walao, what are the
Oh,
chances?
no.
So I think that's one of the ones that really stuck out for me last year. When it comes to like the guests, then of course, you get other things like, you know, it's like one of those things
Do you
like,
get diva guests? Like the kind that is like
got
like-
so,
like they have a very big ego and
to be fair, so far all the creators, 99% of the creators that I've interacted with are all super chill.
Yeah.
There was one that I met that was a bit diva, but
ooh.
yeah, that one I better don't say too much. I thought nobody want to come. But it
Fair enough, fair
it hasn't been too bad, I guess.
Mm.
I think it's one of those things that when you are going through it, then it seems like a big deal. Then after the show finished, then you kind of forgot.
It's like, oh,
Yeah.
you've
Okay,
ex-
so
lived-
not too
yeah,
much
gone
drama.
through it.
Have lah. You ask me again closer to the show, then I'll probably remember.
Yeah, I mean, just so everyone knows, it's been like 1-2 months since
Yeah.
Comic Con, so
your
brain has reset.
You're getting
yeah,
you're
kind of
getting
reset,
over
yeah.
The trauma
Yeah,
has
the trauma
Exactly,
of that event.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, this year one was pretty okay lah. There wasn't super big had to close down the show kind of issue leh. Although it was quite scary this year when we saw the police come again.
Why?
So every year the
Right.
police will come because it's like
course.
big crowd.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
every year they'll come. So
Yeah.
this year they showed up, but then they had like the full tactical outfit
regalia.
with the machine gun. Then I walked past, I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, what was going on?
No, apparently it's just
I
routine.
saw also, I was like,
Yeah.
what?
But why would they bring
I don't
that
know. That's what I was
into a
wondering. Why were they like all
con?
geared up?
They were like, we
No,
come
it's
and
confusing,
cosplay
you
as
know.
the
Yeah, it's confusing
It's
because it's like you
confusing.
see the cosplay guys holding like I don't know, like Boba Fett or
Yeah.
whatever, right? Then you're like, okay, cool. Then you see the real policeman, then you're like kind of scary.
Yeah.
We kind of made this joke that like, the police force they just fans of comics.
Yeah, I
it's
was
just like
like,
excuse to like
this
come
is
in
their
and play.
only way to
Yeah.
come in looking a bit cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Look cool
yeah,
plus not need pay for
outfits.
ticket. Then okay lah. That was one of the ones that always stuck up for me last year. Other than that, I don't think there were any like life-changing kind of problems.
Okay, that's
Oh,
good. That's
quite
good.
peaceful.
Good to know. Good
But
to
you always
know.
like I remember like when we every time we catch you during SGCC, you're looking super like frantic and like running around and very busy.
Yeah, it's one of those things. There's always like 4 things going on at the same time that requires like my attention. And we have a very small team. My team is
Yeah.
very small.
Yeah.
So there's
How
always
many people in your team?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of us. So the core team is only 5 of us right now.
Smile.
This 5 of you guys all manage content or
No. So the 5 of us managing everything.
the whole court?
So
Yeah.
of course we work with like
Of course, like
and
vendors,
stuff
of
like that
course.
lah, and volunteers.
But you're kind of like the
Yeah.
the people overseeing is just 5 people.
Yeah.
Wow,
So the
okay, big con, very
main
small
thing is
team,
like 5 people.
guys.
On one hand, you think like it's crazy, but then on the other hand, the US conventions they also run with like very small core teams, and then they work with you, which I think in a way it kind of works from a financial point of view.
Yeah,
You know
what I mean?
definitely. I mean, if the core team is very good lah, and everyone
Yeah.
is punching above their weight, I think that's how you can do it.
If they're efficient, it's actually
You don't
easier
need-
to manage, right? Because it's
Yeah.
smaller and then you don't
In a
have
way,
to
yes.
like worry about too many pieces.
Yeah, in a way,
Like,
yes.
yeah, you don't need a giant corporation lah.
Yeah, I think that's the difference between when last time we used to work at Reed, where the team was slightly
Yeah.
bigger. Then it became like, what's that saying about too many cooks spoil the broth or something?
Mhm.
Yeah, sometimes it's like that. So when it's smaller, it's sometimes a bit easier lah.
So it's easier to make your content selections nowadays. with the smaller
Well,
team
when
that
it comes to
you do.
content, basically I always override people.
Really?
So you're the king of content.
I would, not very nice way to say it, but yeah, in a way, like sometimes people suggest stuff. I'm always open to suggestions, and if they suggest stuff, then I don't like it, then I say don't want. But if it makes, then I will like think about it. No lah, this one makes sense lah. Then we'll just go with it. So
Right.
an example is one of my colleagues is younger, so I do always ask her opinion, like what the younger people
Yeah.
want to see, like what would make like say like a 20-year-old want to go to a comic convention. So we kind of like tap on their interest in a way. That's
Right,
that's
right.
why this year we're probably looking at like YouTube content creators as well. It's a way to get this sort of like age group into Comic-Con. And
So
then
you're bringing in
Which YouTubers?
don't know yet. Still sort of like looking at it and
So you're researching.
understanding. Yeah.
So you're researching every day. Watch YouTube and research.
I mean, it's more like I watch YouTube every day anyway. It's more like different kind of
Okay.
YouTube content. You know what I mean? It's like this kind of stuff. I really sometimes it's really completely goes over my head.
Yeah, I feel like also YouTube creators, they pop up really fast and they blow up really
Yeah,
fast.
yeah.
And then sometimes you just like in the news, there's another scandal with this other YouTuber you've never heard of before, but apparently they have like 5 million followers
Right.
and you're like, I've
Like,
never seen you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
I think the example is like there's this lady called Ruru Sama or something
Oh,
like that.
Ruru-sama. Yeah, my friend's a
I have
fan.
no idea who she is.
I learned about her like because of like recent.
Yeah.
Wow,
are you-
oh
are
my
you-
god.
Shopping.
Oh, the shopping is literally
fan.
wearing a Ruru Sama.
Happened to me
Lanyard.
there. I don't want to feel awkward. It was just $10.
What do you mean it happened to be there? Okay.
Right.
Last year I had no idea who she was, and then
Yeah.
younger
Yeah.
people had to explain it to me, and then
I really don't know who she
Cosplayers,
is also.
yeah.
I'm lost.
She's a cosplayer.
yeah,
She's
she
a
seems
TikTok.
on
Is it?
TikTok apparently.
Oh, I'm
TikTok
learning
them
about
came.
this now too.
Yeah, so I completely don't know, but if like there's an audience for it there, and then why would you not try to time on that? So I just use that as an example, because young people have a different perspective
Yeah.
from me. So
Ruru-sama. Okay, I'm just
yeah,
looking right
apparently
now.
she does this thing where
Whoa.
there's a Japanese term for it. I can't remember what it was. Where she
She
goes,
kabedon.
Yeah,
Is it
yeah,
a kabedon?
yeah,
She's
yeah.
very popular for
Yeah.
her kabedon. So like I think she's like a paid kabedon experience where you pay some money and then she'll kabedon you.
What's kabedon?
It's like-
Someone?
I don't know how much
I
you charge.
don't want to
Like,
know.
how much is the kabedon?
Do I
It's
wanna
not like-
know?
It's
Yeah,
like
no, no,
basically
is it
like
something
you
weird?
you're paid to lean against the wall and she come and do like this to you.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that
Like
and
the-
is the
the
like
Japanese
is the
term.
high school
Yeah.
manga
Wall
thing?
was,
Yes.
Yeah.
The wall slam
So
like
if you want
pa.
a wall slam, it's like $50.
yeah,
Yeah.
$50.
yeah,
I mean, does it? What about her?
But she's
transport
popular for
fees
that
or
though. She's
whatever?
known for that.
yeah. Apparently she's known for that law. So it's
Interesting.
completely over my head. Like I don't get it. But if younger people like it, then maybe you can do something there. So that's just an example.
So you'll have a kabedon stand at next year's
I-
Comic Con.
Actually, it's quite funny because somebody was suggesting, hey, let's do that this year. Then it never got around to it. We were like,
You have to find the I don't
The
know
wall,
like
the
who,
wall, the
who
right
is the
wall.
specialist who is a specialist in Singapore that could do this.
Ruru-sama.
Ruru-sama is the
Yeah,
kabedon
yeah.
specialist.
So we were thinking of like, is there way? So we want to like we were thinking like, is there ways we can give fans opportunities to interact with these content creators in a way lah. So it's still about finding the right content creator that kind of fits in with the show.
And there's a lot. There's
Yeah,
a lot
there's
to
a lot,
filter through. I
exactly.
feel like
Yeah.
it's like trying to find YouTube
Yeah.
creators.
And it
It's
doesn't
like,
have to
wow.
be the obvious one. So like the obvious one would be like gaming content creators, but that's
Yes,
like
like
obvious lah.
streamers.
So is there something else?
Have you
can do?
considered like VTubers or something?
VTubers? We thought about it, but it became a case of like, don't know, it seems a bit bridge too far in a way.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
How come?
Because for the VTuber experience to really work, it's more like an online thing because you
Yeah.
kind of have to watch videos. So Comic Con is more like an in-person event.
Yeah.
So we were thinking about it, it's like, okay, from a customer journalist perspective,
Yeah.
lah. The person goes there, so how does it work? He's going to stand in front of the stage and watch the video screen.
Right.
So what's the value there?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I've seen the.
It's more comfortable
but
at
I think
home.
maybe
Yeah.
I've talked about this before, but there are VTuber like meet and greets. I don't know if you've seen.
I vaguely
It's a bit interesting where
Yeah.
they like they have a
So what,
screen.
there's a
They really
screen,
have a
then
screen and
you-
you take the photo
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
with this VTuber. They interact with you live, but it's like a program thing.
yeah.
That kind of thing, right?
I
You don't like that lah. You felt like
no,
it's
I
a
mean
bit
it's
like-
more like it's not so like and don't like. It's almost like doesn't matter if I like or don't like. But it's more
Yeah.
like we couldn't quite find a way to get it to work. So we figured,
sense.
okay, never mind. Let other people try first. Then if it works, then we copy their idea. I very shamelessly always copy people's idea.
that makes sense.
if it works, you know it works.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Like I'm a huge fan of like going to other people's comic conventions and then whatever works there, then try and replicate it in Singapore. Or
Yeah
no
lor.
shame, copy people answer.
So you
Okay
go
one.
to a lot of Comic Cons also, right?
No lah, I wish I did lah.
Oh,
If it were
oh.
up to me, every month I will go Comic Con lah. But
Yeah.
I go maybe
Cannot
like
count
once a
count
year.
it as like a business, like a
Research,
trip,
yeah,
research
market
trip or
research trip.
something.
Please tell my boss. You get her to pay for it.
I think sometimes the Singapore audience also is a bit conservative. Not say
Yeah,
conservative,
a bit.
but people aren't as in
They're not
how
ready
say,
to
you need to
accept
warm them up.
different things
Yeah.
yet.
I find Singaporeans in general lah, they are a bit like shy in a way. So they need to see like, hey, this one like quite other people doing it, and then like, hey, this one quite
Then
fun.
when-
Then they'll go and try.
Risk averse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
risk averse,
yeah.
yes. I think Dungeons and Dragons is a great example. So when in the past, our tabletop exhibitors were always there, but people were not so willing to like hands-on try it a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of like groups
Mm.
of friends.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
It's very
We saw a lot more magic in the past, I remember.
Magic,
also.
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
so so in the past couple of years since I started working at Comic Con, we always partner with Gamersaurus Rex. Because I know
yeah.
the
Yes,
owner
Gamersaurus
for a long
Rex,
time.
yeah.
And then we like, you know what, let's just try to blow this up lah. Let's get more people into D&D. So we had more, he ran sessions that like you could, if you don't know anything about D&D, you can sit down and play for like half an hour. There will be a DM there
that's
that'll
quite
run.
nice.
Yeah, he'll run a half an hour game for you and it's free.
Oh, yeah.
So it's
That's
you-
an amazing experience.
yeah, so I
Free.
think we had a lot of people like come out and try because they're like, oh, these dice look very interesting. I'm going to try. And I know for a fact that there's more younger people interested in D&D now, or
Yeah.
people who went and
Yeah.
try.
Yeah.
And then this became like a, when people walk past and they see somebody sitting there rolling dice, having fun, they'll be more interested to like, oh, what's this? And then it's
Yeah.
sort of like the idea is a snowball effect. lah.
I go do more gaming stuff in the future. Like, okay, I mean, because we noticed that the cosplayers,
Yes.
I mean, there's so many like League of Legends,
Yeah.
like Dota, cosplayers, right? Are you guys gonna bring more of that kind of stuff next time?
I wish we can. Hopefully we can. I think gaming is. I think when it comes to like digital gaming, I refer to it like digital gaming.
Yeah.
It's a bit like tough because in a way we have like Gamescom in Singapore.
Yes.
And Gamescom always gets the cool stuff. I mean,
Like you don't really also want kind of like
yeah, there's like a Venn diagram overlap of the interests, but
Yeah.
then I always try to like, okay, let's point of difference law. So fans
fair
can go like Gamescom, then go AFA, then go SGCC.
yeah.
And each one is
All
a different-
specific,
Yeah, each
like,
one is a different
interest.
experience.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to digital gaming, the part I'm more interested in is mobile gaming because
Yeah.
that's like hugely
You mean Genshin?
Mobile Legends.
Genshin lah.
Genshin was huge this
Genshin,
year. what? They had a-
Genshin is gonna be.
Genshin
it's like
is
it's
like
so
all over Comic-Con.
huge.
because
Yeah.
Genshin, we were like super excited we got Genshin this year. I was so hats off to Michelle who managed to get them in because mobile gaming is really where it's at. Everybody has a
Yeah.
mobile phone.
It's more
For sure.
accessible
Yeah,
to game
it's
that
super
way.
accessible.
You don't need like a complex
Yes.
rig or anything like that.
And it's less there's less gatekeeping and this is coming from somebody that used to yell at people when you play game one so I can this is like I can see like okay yes, mobile gaming gets more people, maybe we should focus on mobile gaming and I shouldn't talk down to mobile gamers, so we kind of want to see like what else can we do in the mobile gaming space, but it doesn't have to be competitive because at the end of the day if it's competitive it's still a very small kind of like niche community.
Yeah.
But like Genshin, they did something that was like it was huge there was so many people there and it got people excited. So
Yeah, definitely.
I wish I could get more gaming companies interested in Comic-Con, but I don't know. We try every year. But I think a lot of them are kind of like Singapore market is so small.
Man.
Yeah, which kind of sucks
It's kind of true though.
It is.
Yeah.
It's kind of true. I think the way to approach it might be those Singapore-based companies or like Singapore-based like outfits that or say like influencers, right?
Yep.
Maybe. So like I don't know like the Ice or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like bringing in those guys, then they can I don't know take picture with cosplayers. I don't know.
So it became like Ice is a great example because it became I think there was one year he was at Gamescom. If I'm not wrong.
I think he does Gamescom.
Yeah, so for him it's probably like Gamescom makes more sense. I'll probably go there. So it's like fair enough
There's so many cons. I think I remember like last year where you're just like shag so many.
Yeah.
You just go.
Last year had less.
Really?
Last year Gamescom the public facing show didn't happen.
Gamescom.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
cancelled
definitely more like
So it was AFA, then Culture Cartel, then Singapore Comic Con. So it's like if I'm a fan of that kind of thing, then I get to attend 3 conventions, which makes sense
True.
Yeah.
I want to ask like a personal interest question. Mostly because just now you were talking about bringing in more like tabletop and also YouTube content creators. Have you considered bringing in like overseas tabletop creators or not?
Critical Role.
I mean, like I've considered, but I also think they're so big now. I doubt they'll come.
We did.
But like
in the past we thought about like trying to like bring in the tabletop.
Dimension 20. Do you know D20?
Yes.
Yeah.
We thought about it. Then we were again, at the end of the day, it comes down to dollars and cents and like how much bringing in this creator moves the needle.
That's
so
fair.
I think at this point right now, like D&D content creators, video creators, it doesn't move the needle that much yet. So
that's understandable.
Yeah. So if they're like more D&D, if D&D becomes huge in Singapore, then yes, confirm now we'll try and like get them in.
Interesting.
Sometimes I say that, but then at the same time, sometimes they surprise us because like Viva La Dirt, we brought them in 2019. Because I thought the videos were very funny. We thought like maybe, it could be quite popular. It apparently was huge. So it turns out sometimes there's a lot of fans in Singapore that we don't know about.
Actually, I think there's a certain weird thing about Comic-Con, which is that a lot of people go expecting to see one thing, but then they end up having a different experience and totally enjoying and getting like obsessed with like something else.
Yes.
So in a weird way, whatever you guys bring in, sometimes maybe the weirder it is, the more people will get into it. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah,
it's like
I know what
something
you mean.
new, right? There's a huge novelty factor. So I feel like say wrestling one year, the Cabo then another year, and like just every year do something totally out of left field. But they keep it fresh. I think people also need to have the mindset that like this year there'll be something new.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the approach we take. So this might get us demonetized, but the way I look at it is like, it's the drug dealer
if you're
mentality.
even getting monetized in the first place.
It's the drug
It's
dealer
the drug
mentality.
dealer mentality. The first one is for free. So you'll come for like, maybe you'll come for like comics, but then I'll introduce you to like wrestling.
The others.
And then next thing you know, you become a wrestling fan.
Okay, I guess like just to wrap up, right? What is like these new things that you're really, really excited to be looking into for like Comic Con this year? Like you've mentioned YouTube
2023.
creators and like anything else that like we could be anticipating.
I think the YouTube video content creators, like I call them TikTok or YouTube or whatever. I think that one could be something interesting this year. Depending on whether or not we pull it off. So you never know. Comic Con might not even happen this year.
Oh no!
What?
No lah.
Yeah,
as
but
in,
like it was so
tomorrow-
big last year.
Like
no way,
tonight got
right?
tonight or tomorrow got the green comet flying over Earth, right?
Green comet.
There's some comet like 50,000 years happens once or
Really?
something. Yeah.
Oh, there's a comet flying over
Yeah,
the
something
Earth, like
like that. I saw it on the news yesterday. You never know, some kind of like Lovecraftian monster might come out and destroy the Earth. Then yeah,
Okay,
then
but
people will never see this episode.
Exactly,
then. If you
yeah.
see this episode, we have survived
it's
the
still
green
alive.
comet.
Yes,
yes.
but I think probably the video content creators is definitely something you want to try this year. Could
Your
be quite
highlight of
interesting.
the year
Yeah,
kind of thing.
probably.
I'm quite into because
Very
you guys used to have like these cosplayers that would take photos and sell photographs.
Oh, yeah.
right? Yeah. I feel like that. So that was I didn't see it this year.
Most of them were
Or is
in
it downstairs?
downstairs as well as at the stage mainly.
Yeah. So I feel like there's actually space for like different kinds of
Yes.
creators if you guys want to.
I
do
think
that.
this is actually one of the downsides of having 2 floors because
Yeah.
it's no longer like everything's on one floor.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like if you want to expand the show, we're gonna have to expand out. You know what I mean?
2 floors this year is a bit. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
It's a bit tough.
I think
it's very hard to get people to really finish both floors.
I think it's because it's the first time we've done it. There's a certain amount of education we have to for the fans. So
It's like they reacclimate to the SGCC.
they realize
area.
like, oh, now it's 2 floors. So when it starts to expand out, then they can sort of get their head around it. Because if we use like the bigger US conventions like New York Comic Con or San Diego, it's across multiple floors in multiple places, but fans still find their way around. And I mean, we are super happy that it was 2 floors this year, but we'll continue to work on like ways so that people sort of like know that there are 2 floors and get to see everything.
I think it's just a thing that we have to get familiar with.
Yeah.
Like now SGCC is gonna get bigger and possibly bigger. And then
Yeah.
there'll just be more floors. It's a natural kind of development.
Progression, yeah.
Yeah. So it's something that I think once since we've had it once, it'll be easier to
Exactly.
understand
Yeah.
coming like up. Like then maybe you guys progress to like 3 floors or more
Exactly.
or something, and then we'll get it. And then it's like a slowly.
It's a slow stepping
Yeah.
stone law, and then as we expand, then people's mindset will realize like, oh, it's bigger than just
exactly.
this whole space.
Yeah. Okay, this all sounds very exciting. So hopefully we all survive the comet,
Yes.
any Lovecraftian monster, and we get
Yeah.
to see SGCC this year, and maybe we get to see like more video content creators, and who knows what else we're gonna expect from SGCC also.
Big name creators.
Big
yeah.
name
Can we have a
creators.
Red Dot Comics then? Booth
Sure.
or something. Yeah,
Oh, that'd be
maybe we should
nice.
do that
Yeah.
next time.
Maybe we can do our like live.
Then we can
podcast
shoot everything
from a-
live there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'd
so
be nice,
this,
yeah.
like, I mean, this is a side note also, but it's like I've always wanted to like have podcasts like at the show.
Yeah,
but
like a radio show, right?
yeah, exactly. Because I
You
love
can play on the
podcasts,
PA.
and it becomes. But the question always comes down to, but it's so noisy. How do you record that kind of thing?
Yeah.
So
Directional mics. I don't know.
I don't know,
The
man.
video
I don't
producers
know.
will figure it
Yeah.
out.
the video production people will figure it out.
Yeah.
It is very noisy, lah. It is very noisy.
You know.
We can
It's
shoot.
very hard, I guess. You got the stage, and then you got the
Yeah.
just the general noise of the public,
Exactly.
and everything.
Because
else.
I mean again, sort of like additional things. I've always wanted to. So there's this comics podcast, cartoonist kayfabe that I always listen to.
yes,
It's these 2 comic creators, and I always thought in my head like, oh, why don't we get them down to Singapore and then they can do a Singapore Comic Con episode of cartoonist kayfabe.
yeah.
But then it became like, oh, where would they record, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So
I think you can buy like a portable soundproof booth. You know
Oh,
what
really?
I mean? I think there's
have
such
no
a
idea.
thing. It's basically like a foam box lah, and then you
Right.
just sit inside and then you can record.
is it?
I think
Yeah,
I've
I've
seen
seen it
that.
at like book fairs before.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so people are like there, like recording things live, and then they're in this cubicle which is like foam all the way.
That's an idea.
We talk about it. We see how.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah, exciting.
Read
Okay.
Comics Then podcast at Comic Con this year.
Anyway, yeah, we're so happy that you came down to
Of course, of
today.
course.
It was
Yeah,
a really
Paul.
fun
Thanks for the
conversation. We learned about all these behind the scenes,
And all the horror
SGCC
things.
and the horror. Also, like getting, because for me, I don't interact with horror, so also
Right.
learning a bit more about like horror comics also very interesting.
Yeah, you
So-
can do like a whole episode on horror comics.
Oh my
Yeah,
god!
I think
actually
Sean
interesting,
Lam.
right?
I mean,
Sean Lam,
the-
Wayne. I know Wayne. Is it Wayne?
Wayne
He
Ree?
writes. He writes like
Wayne Ree.
Wayne Ree.
Yeah,
He writes.
Oh,
he writes.
man.
Yeah.
That's a-
His horror podcast.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
know him since I was like 10, 12.
Y'all seem like you'll be friends.
Yes,
Yes.
I've known him for a very long time. I can't get rid of him from my life. My God. Hi, Wayne.
Hi, Wayne.
Yeah, we
Can
should
join
do
us
it. We'll
sometime.
do more horror.
Yes.
We should.
Oh,
I think
it'll be
then
my worst
Yancy
episode. I will be
Yancy
like
can get
so
over her trauma.
Yeah,
and
Halloween
we can-
episode.
I will
Yeah.
absolutely not interact with content and now just like hear from you guys. But anyway, hope this was a nice end to season 2 of Red Dot Comics Then. This is the last episode and
Oh,
you are
okay.
our
Yeah,
finale.
It's the last Comic Con / WIP
Yeah.
program
For now, for now,
episode.
for
For now,
For
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, so
Linging
we
will
have to-
be coming back for season 3.
Yeah, we'll be back with season 3. Hopefully, we find the funding and the support. But because we have still a lot of guests that we want to talk
Yes.
to, so
Yeah.
let's
We're
keep
gonna
in
do
touch.
things a bit
Social media.
differently. Hopefully next season try some things out. Yeah, so glad to have you guys like with us for the ride, and as usual, comment, subscribe,
Yes.
follow us on social media. You can follow Paul has an Instagram where he does horror art. If you want to check him out, we'll leave it here. And
Thanks.
of course also like I'm sure you guys probably already follow SGCC, but follow them as well.
Yes.
And then we'll see you guys in season 3.
Season 3.
Bye.
Bye bye.